Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
So it's been a long process. I was initially diagnosed in December of 2012, and then I went through chemo, a drastic surgery, and radiation, and it was in November of 2013 when I actually met you and Liz, because you helped me understand about the CBD. And I really started to look at my whole life differently. And I looked at what my thoughts were, how I presented myself, how I took in the knowledge from other people. And my mom was way ahead of me. So she was into the supplements. She had told me at one time I was very, very heavy, and I drank a lot of soft drinks with sugar. I used to, on my way home from work, I'd get a 6-pack of Sprite, and I would have one of them. I would pop it open on the way to the car, and then by the time I drove the 35 miles down the highway from Bullhead to Mojave Valley, I would drink 2 more, and then I'd sit on the couch. I'd pop another one. So now I'm like 4 into this. I'm eating the whole thing of the Entenmann's, sugar-free, of course. And she was like, well, just because it's sugar-free. And one day I looked and I go, if that was beer, I'd be drunk. So,
right.
And she was telling me this back like in the 90s. She was telling me this. So I'm sure that all of that knowledge that this woman has is one of the reasons why she's lived to be 91 and had no major setbacks, where I'm 63 and I smoked way past what she did, probably misbehaved myself a lot here and there. And I worked at a pool store, so I was subject to a lot of chemical use around the pool store. But I have to refer back to her because she is always the one that's corrected me. Don't eat too much sugar. Don't do that. You have to pay attention to this. And she's always had these supplements, well, vitamin E for this. And she's the one that tells me, well, don't eat acetaminophen. And if you have to take acetaminophen, you better have the NAC to go with it. And I'm like, what? We're in the store last night. And I go, look, Mom, Mother's Market now has the NAC. And she goes, yeah, because all those people out there taking that acetaminophen.
Well, you know what on that note, which is really interesting, because NAC is a great and an incredible substance. I put it into my respiratory formula, and it's really good for the lungs, but it's really good for a lot of things. And but FDA just recently came along and said, whoa, we're going to call it a drug. And they were taking that, they were going after people that were putting it in supplements. And I said, well, and again, I went ahead and bought 10 kilos of it, because I'm not one to follow rules very well sometimes. And I said, it's made a difference in my life so much so that I don't want to be without it. So I stocked up on it just in case we couldn't get it anymore. And apparently there was been enough blowback. But what they said was it is considered a drug because it's a, what do you call it? It's a treatment for Tylenol poisoning.
Exactly.
And so that's what you're just talking about. But FDA just recognized it as a, what do you call the opposite of a poison, an antidote. Yeah, an antidote for Tylenol poison. And because of that, they're trying to declare it as a drug that is now going to be regulated by the FDA. And so, and NAC, N-acetylcysteine is it's a compound that the body absorbs very easily, and it's an incredible compound. If there's one ingredient that I would want to make sure I had, if I had to make a formula that only had 5 ingredients, that would probably be one of them. And it's that important, and it does all kinds of things for your cells. It's good. It has a lot to do with metabolism and your mitochondria. It's got all kinds of good things about it. But for me specifically, it improves lung function, and it's made a gigantic impact on a formula that I came up with, which I would be coughing right now.
About that.
Every 8 to 10 seconds I used to cough, and there was
The respiratory support. I think.
respiratory support. That formula has a lot of NAC in it. Yeah. Yep. And so
You knew it had acetaminophen in it?
I didn't know it had NAC in it.
I mean,
No.
I
yeah,
just Simulene.
yeah, it doesn't have acetaminophen, it has NAC only. I wouldn't put acetaminophen in anything.
And stuff, which I
So-
love.
So one of the things that is so important in any conversation about living healthy is paying attention to what we put in our body. And your diet is probably the most important thing that you do, because it affects everything, right? What you eat and drink is your fuel and your poison all at the same time. It's your medicine and your toxins, all rolled up into one. It's the thing that gets you going and helps you sleep. It's the thing that, bolsters your immune system. People don't understand what an immune system is and how it works, most people. And, they think, I'm strengthening my immune system, and they're think you're just going to charge it up like a battery. But, your immune system is a very complicated system, and it's not like that. And your body has mechanisms to go after problems, and it sends out first responders to go take care of things. But one of the things that's interesting is your own immune system creates inflammation, because that is a response to problems in your body. So when your body gets attacked by something, your own immune system creates inflammation to protect the thing that's being attacked. And yet inflammation is one of the biggest problems that we all suffer from. And so our immune system is overtaxed, it's overstimulated, it sometimes gets so wound up that it goes and attacks ourselves. So now we've got these autoimmune diseases that I never used to hear about. The boy in the plastic bubble was like a 1 in 100 million cases in the 70s. And, today every other person has something like that, some kind of autoimmune disease. And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with the environment and what we're putting in our bodies. But Georgia, how do you eat? There's every kind of fad, way of eating and not way of eating, but how would you describe your average, I'm going to call it your diet, just your eating habits.
I love meat.
Okay, fair enough. I do too.
So, I eat a lot of chicken. I don't eat, but not because I don't like it. It's because it's so expensive now.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of what it is that I'm allergic to gluten, so I have to eat gluten-free bread, but I eat a lot of bread.
Okay.
And I weigh 105 pounds, right?
Yeah. So you're apparently okay with eating that bread. If I eat a lot of bread, I turn into the marshmallow guy real quick. So as much as I love bread, I avoid it more than I eat it anymore.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have to check into that and find out if gluten makes you gain weight. Very
Well,
possible.
I think what happens with it is
I'm going to bring you or send you a loaf of gluten-free bread. And
all
if you
right,
tell
fair
me
enough.
You're going to be lying.
All right.
And
I
it
don't know that it's the gluten or just the straight carbs or just the idea of grain itself. A lot of grains are inflammatory to a lot of people. The problem is again, there isn't any one problem or one solution for every single person. So a lot of it has to do with just our own bodies and our own ability to absorb or sensitivities to things. But the other problem is people don't realize is that you can change. Like people can go their whole life and be fine with this one thing, and then all of a sudden they have this condition, this situation, this allergy, and then for
Sure.
whatever reason, all of a sudden now I'm allergic to this thing that I didn't used to be. And so there's a lot of that going on these days. But like I said, when I was a kid, I remember this one kid, this one time that was allergic to peanuts. And we all thought how weird that was, that this one kid was allergic to peanuts when everybody, ate peanut butter, and there was, how could you not eat peanuts? And now today, geez, it's this free and that allergen and this. Now you have to list allergen, association. Like if you use nuts in your facility and you're making a product, you have to label it that this is made in a facility that uses nuts. Like, it's crazy. And it's just because so many people have gotten sensitive. What about, fruits and vegetables and all of that?
I love fruits and vegetables. I like to take a grapefruit, the pink one,
Yeah.
and then cut it in wedges and just sit down. I want something sweet to eat. Every once in a while, I'll just go to the fridge, open it up, eat that, couple pieces,
Yeah.
fresh, and I'm satisfied. So
That's-
I don't hesitate to eat chocolate or candy or any of
Yeah.
that stuff. But it's not
She does not eat a lot of it.
it's not a regular part of my diet.
Right.
But somebody doesn't offer me chocolate and I go, oh, no, I can't have it. No, yes, I can have it. You just have to control yourself.
Well, I think that's important because, like, a lot of times, diets, and I put quotes around diets because people decide, oh, I'm on this diet or that diet. That means I do this or I don't do that anymore. And the problem is, if we like something and we're told no, we rebel against that. We want it even more. And it's like, to me, I think to myself, well, if I generally do things right, then occasionally I can do things wrong and I'll be fine. In the perfect world, am I worse off or better off? Well, probably a little worse off, but was it worth it? Oh yeah. To enjoy a good meal and say whatever I want to eat, I'm just going to eat it. And if I have to, overcorrect tomorrow, so be it, whatever. I think that that's a good approach.
One of the things I concentrate on health-wise is the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
Careful. And if somebody tells me anything, that's good for your immune system, I'm going to get some and eat it, and then I'm going to do research on it, find out if it's true.
Right.
But, and I'll make this real quick. When I was about 50, I had a ruptured appendix. I didn't know it, and I was going about my business, working and everything, and all of a sudden I doubled up one day.
Oh no.
And I went.
Still have my appendix.
I got home, I called my doctor, and he said, I told him all the symptoms, and he said, okay, put the phone down and jump in the air and land flat-footed. I said, okay. And I jumped in the air and landed flat-footed. And he goes, I picked up the phone, I goes, yeah. And he goes, I didn't hear a scream. And I said, I didn't scream. Why, was I supposed to scream? He goes, it's not your appendix. If that was your appendix, he said, you wouldn't even have been able to get up off the floor.
Wow.
Whole thing was not that bad.
Wow.
So 4 days later, I called him and I said, I don't know what's going on, but I said, I can't even stand up straight. I'm going to have to walk to the car, bent over to get to you. He said, still the same thing? And I went, yeah. And he said, don't come to the office. He said, I'll meet you at the hospital.
Wow.
So I went to the hospital. They operated on me. Yes, it was my appendix, but what did I tell you? My appendix, my body, my immune system had encapsulated my ruptured appendix.
Wow.
Poison in that sac. He said, no, if that sac had split, you've been in deep doo-doo.
Right.
But he said, the immune system was so strong that you didn't have anything to do with it. It encapsulated it. It's crazy. I know, but it's true.
No, what's wild is
like 3 weeks in the hospital after that. I was so close to being taken out.
Oh, yeah. Apparently a ruptured appendix can be fatal pretty quickly if it's like a diverticulitis, only worse. And when the outsides go into the inside, it's not good. And, you know, it's crazy. On the note of encapsulating, I just want to share this story too. And a quick story is I have a friend who was diagnosed with a cancer, and it was a particular kind of cancer that was very aggressive, and it was up in his where all your organs are, up in the middle there. And they were thinking that they were going to have to operate, and it was going to be a major surgery, because with cancer, you got to get, if it's touching anything, you got to cut it out until you don't have any. You got to get to the good tissue. And prior to this operation, we got him on some cannabis oil, and he was really sensitive to it. So we couldn't give him as much as I wanted to, but we did it every way we could. And they thought that they might have to take out a kidney. They thought they might have to take out, you know, part of a liver. They thought, you know, whatever this thing was attached to, they thought they were going to have to take organs out, and he may or may not have survived it. And they opened him up, and what they thought was going to be, you know, a day-long surgery ended up being several hours. But what happened was, just like what you said, his body encapsulated that cancer, and they were able to cut it out, leaving the organs intact. And he's walking around today without that cancer. And it was the cannabis oil that did that. It was kind of crazy, but how your body can wrap around something, you know, in pretty quick time. Like, you know, it was really a matter of a month or two from the time he got diagnosed till they did this operation. We didn't have a lot of time to work. And, you know, and for your body to go and wrap itself around a cancer is almost unheard of. Like, it just doesn't generally happen.
Well, you're talking, that was an amazing story, and it wasn't even super strong cannabis oil either.
No. It was what he could handle, but it wasn't anywhere near the kind of dose that I would have wanted him to take. And again, just so everybody understands, I am not a medical professional, and I do not give medical advice. I'm just telling you things that I've experienced, and I'm sharing stories as a human being, and that's what we're all doing here. There isn't anything that you're gonna
get out of bed. I won't get out of bed without it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I do it before I go to bed.
Well, and these are all things that I think we all find that thing that works for us, or those things that work. You know, when you're talking about getting out of bed, another topic that we'll go deep into at one point is sleep. You know, your body repairs itself while it's sleeping, and that's when it does that. and especially your brain. You know, you have a system called a glymphatic system that your brain literally wipes itself clean and clears away the plaque, and it does things, but it only does it when you're in REM sleep, and it only will do it right if your body's got enough resources to put at it. So, you know, if you've eaten right before you go to sleep and your body's busy digesting food, it'll say, well, we'll get to that tomorrow maybe. And if you're not sleeping right and you're sleeping in fits and starts, it'll say, well, we'll get to that tomorrow maybe. And you wake up all groggy and brain foggy, and that's because your glymphatic system didn't get a chance to run. And so what are your thoughts? I mean, I don't know anybody who's even reasonably healthy that doesn't have some kind of thought about sleep. What are your thoughts on sleep?
Oh, are you kidding? I love sleep. I'll tell you how long it takes me to go to sleep until I lay down. That's it.
That's how I am. I love it. I'm the same way. My wife gets so mad at me.
And I'm asleep.
I'm the same way. My wife is like, what the hell? Get up. I'll be snoring away. I'm like,
if there's something horrendous going on that will keep me awake right when I first lay down, and I'm worried about it. I don't know if you've ever heard the lyrics to Bicycle Built for Two.
I don't know.
The next time I see you, I'll sing it for you.
Okay.
And if I lay there and I don't sing it out loud, I'm singing it in my head. Breaks are kind of really complicated, and you have to stop and think. So stopping and thinking that hard about something takes your mind off of your worry,
Right.
Get bored with bicycles built for two and you go to sleep.
Okay, fair enough.
Like a mantra, like a
Yeah.
meditation.
Yeah.
You found a way to make the monkeys be quiet.
So-
And I'm completely different. I got a thing I gotta do, and I got earplugs and a mask, and
Yeah, my wife has a whole system. but-
have some sounds, and then I have it'll take me three times as long to fall asleep because I know that I need a little melatonin. So I use a CBD sleep syrup that has melatonin in it.
Uh-huh.
Stuff is my magic. And then I'm a cancer survivor, so I'm allowed to do this. I do take I have a vaporizer, not an oil vaporizer because I'm not a car, I don't need to burn oil. I use flour, I use cannabis flour, and I very carefully take one little tiny little, and then I really blow that out. But between my sleep syrup and my one little puff, and I sleep like a baby. And I got my earplugs, I got my
Nice.
mask. I don't care what goes on around me. I'm out, and I know because it's got some good herbs in my sleep syrup. It's a good, well-made product, and I had a couple nights ago. I didn't have it because it was someplace else in my baggage. I was out of town, and I struggled all night long.
We're gonna talk in great depth, probably do a number of episodes on sleep and some of the things that, you know, I'm sort of a biohacker on some level, on a mild level compared to what some people do. And I know that for me, I'm really blessed. I can sleep like Georgia here. I just literally, all I got to do is close my eyes and lay my head down a little bit and bam, I'm out. And I mean, how about naps? Are you a napper?
If I get bored,
Okay. See me, if I,
the chair in the living room with the TV on, and if it's
Yeah.
something, all of a sudden I get somebody nudging me, and it's her. She goes, "Do you want
okay,
sleeping?" Oh, no, thank you.
for me, it's just a recharge. I get myself up early in the morning and I go and do my own
Yeah.
ritual and a lot of times, you know, I like to be alive a lot. And so I'd
Yes.
love to sleep, but I don't have enough time to sleep. And so if I get my 7 hours, I'm fine. I don't, but if I, for whatever reason, either I'm up late or I just, you know, got up early and I'm a little bit dragging, I'll catch a 17-minute nap. That's my sweet spot. I set my little alarm for 17 minutes and I'll drop myself out. I'll be dreaming deep dreams and 17 minutes, boop, time to get up. And I'm just like somebody filled up the gas and I'm right back to go.
That's a recharge.
Makes
And do you, when you nap like that,
What's that?
dream when you nap?
Oh, yeah. I'm dreaming within 5 minutes. Oh, yeah.
If you're dreaming and you wake up because you were dreaming, you know you were in REM sleep.
Absolutely.
You don't dream anywhere else except in REM.
Yep. And that's how I know that, you know, the naps are effective for me. Now, if I sleep more than 20-25 minutes, I'll start being more groggy. So I found 17 minutes. That's my sweet spot. I can go to 20 minutes and I'm okay. But I mean, you know, it's not like if I was to get a 25-minute nap and I wake up and I'm a little groggy for a minute and I wake up, I'm still better off than if I didn't take it. But just literally, it's just like a quick charge, you know, you plug it in and get up, shake it off and woo, ready to go. So
They call those power naps.
Exactly. You know, and what's interesting, and we're getting kind of to the end of our time here, but this is supposed to be just a conversation, and I refuse to be held by bounds. So we'll just talk about whatever sometimes. And I think that that's part of the interaction of humans, you know, talking to humans. But I've studied exceptional people all my life. I've listened, you know, read biographies, and, you know, you just think to yourself, well, why did that person do such incredible things? You know, and there's this, you know, 1/100th of 1% of the people that are just these incredible people. And a lot of the people that have been brilliant throughout history were nappers. And I look for things that, like, well, what is there in common? Like what, is there something that we can learn from exceptional people? And that's just one of those things. I was like, all right, well, I'll,
What does that tell you? I'm
well,
not, literally, I can draw a line here and say, okay, Joe, I know what you are capable of and what you do and how you help so many people. You just said you're a napper. This woman's 91. She's a napper. Me, I don't nap. I don't want to nap. The only time I nap is when I'm like at exhausted level and I'm like, okay, I can't do anything else. And I'm like out. But as a rule, I am not a napper.
well, maybe you should.
That's or napping. Wait, I'm napping. I don't know. I think you're right there because I have heard about that before, but I never applied that to my own situation.
Yeah.
You might not know what you discovered by taking a nap.
Right.
Well, one of the cool things about the human experience is that we're very adaptable. Our brains and our bodies can overcome just about anything if we set ourselves to do it. And we'll be having all kinds of people on this show, people with all different kinds of maladies and things that they've overcome, and just to hear these experiences, I think is important. And there's people that are super healthy and they're depressed because whatever, I don't know. And I think then there's people that are, have physical and mental issues that I couldn't even imagine enduring, and they walk around with a great attitude, and you think to yourself, what the hell? So, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I think, our attitude about it is the only thing that we have control over. And I think that impacts, our whole human experience. Well, we're down to kind of the last of this particular episode, but as I suspected, it was going to go quick, and we're going to leave a lot more unsaid than said. So we'll have to definitely do this again. And I want to give you each a sort of a parting shot, and just sort of a way to leave us with your thoughts as we're going into the next year and the next episodes.
What do you have to say, Mama?
Oh, you caught me off guard. I was so mesmerized by what you were saying.
Hey, thanks for
You're getting very sleepy.
power napping.
I'm power napping with my eyes wide open.
I'm
I
grateful.
wanted to reach out and go.
Oh.
That's what I would have done if I was there.
All right, fair enough. Well,
Before you go, and I would.
Thanks for the opportunity, Joe. It was great. Look forward to doing it again. And it's nice to be able to share how we, do continue. And it's important to be positive, to have a positive outlook and have people around you that are positive, because that's what lifts us up when for some reason we do get a little bit down. And not having to work so hard with our bodies, if we're feeding ourselves right, if we're using natural supplements, which is what the earth has provided for us, because that's what we agree with better than all these harsh chemicals.
But I didn't know about cannabis when I started taking supplements.
isn't that wild? It's something that, and we'll have plenty to talk about that in itself. But just to think that 100 years ago, cannabis was part of herbal medicine, and it wasn't unusual, and it wasn't crazy, and it wasn't nobody was afraid of it. And then 80 years ago, all that changed, and 40 years ago, that changed a lot, and it became very criminal. And what's that?
They stole it from us. They stole.
They did.
It was 5 to 95% of the pharmacopoeia of the United States of America. And they stole it from us due to greed and racism.
Well, and it worked. They took it away, and we didn't have it for a while. But now we're making a comeback, and the studies that are coming out and that are starting to prove, and we're going to find actually some of the studies are going to we're not going to like what they say. Some of them are demonstrating certain things that I was like, oh, interesting. That we'll have to study that more. But the point is we're getting to know this from a realistic point of view now. The fact that they understand that there is an endocannabinoid system, there are receptors that connect and help to regulate our organs and our production of enzymes and hormones and other chemicals that are prevalent in our chemistry set that we call our physiology. And everything affects everything, and this affects everything. So I am just really tickled to be able to share some time with you guys, and we will do this again another day.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.